I went to my local CEX this morning because I had a lot to do, and I will cover that in a future series video that won't be that far away. But while I was there, I thought to myself, when was the last time I had a look at the PS2 or the Wii or the Switch section? Now they have actually moved things around recently and they've downsized quite a few of the bays. Now with that being said, let's take a trip to my local CEX to see what they had. I like to do this every now and again, maybe once a month, but I think it's been 2 months actually since I've done this. So all this up here used to be PS2, PC, and of course Wii and Wii U, and over to the left is all the DVD that they just can't shift. The PlayStation 2 has been condensed down into 2 bays. I think I mentioned this not that long ago, where they had an awful lot of FIFA and iToy and stuff, and of course you can see loads of FIFA down there. I'm not necessarily collecting for the PS2 at the moment. I've mentioned it recently that I'm kind of only going to pick and choose the games that I ever see myself playing, this being one of them actually, Brothers in Arms Earned in Blood. If you've never played a Brothers in Arms game, you absolutely have to. It should be on your bucket list of video games to play before you die. Need for Speed Most Wanted is a game that on the Xbox 360 is very expensive, and it just continues to rise. That in turn of course is pushing the PS2 price up, so much like Carbon on the 360 as well, that's going up because Most Wanted is going up, and Carbon is probably the best or the second best Need for Speed game on the platform. I never normally look at PSP games, incidentally, because they're normally sort of out of the way downstairs. They've shoved them up here because there aren't that many of them, and the Xbox section beneath it was dwindling, so they've sort of chucked it all on the same bay. Definitely interesting to see some of the PSP games because, like I said, I never normally look at them. I honestly can't remember the last time I actually looked at a PSP game in general. The Xbox section, as I've mentioned, is dwindling, and it's like this in nearly every CEX store. This is one that interests me a little bit though, Indiana Jones. The new game, of course, is due out at the end of this year, and I see that version of Indiana Jones rising a little bit before then, so jump on it now if you want to take advantage. Medal of Honor, used to love those games, Frontline being probably my most favourite Medal of Honor. These sort of the more modern Medal of Honor installments on the 360 and such. I was playing through Airborne the other day actually, and it's not as good as I remember, and I don't know whether that's just me or not. If you've played Airborne recently, let me know. This game is on the Xbox for about £6. On the Wii U it's 32, and in this instance it was a reprinted cover. Not the best. And speaking of the best, this has been absolutely ransacked, this Wii and Wii U section. And I noticed, obviously you're going to find this in probably most CEX stores, and given the fact that it is the school summer holidays, it's probably more likely to be happening now than ever before, but there are an awful lot of just random DVDs mixed in with games. Of course it's a mess, so I do my best to try and tidy it up a little bit, as I normally do when I'm walking around my CEX, just to try and make it look a little bit more presentable. But yeah, just random DVDs put back in stupid places, and it's just making the place look really untidy. Terrible camera work there from me, I do apologise. But as I continue down, another Brothers in Arms game. I actually saw someone pick this up in a video the other day, and I forget who it was. I do apologise if you watch these videos, but £8 for that. I've never played a Brothers in Arms game on the Wii, so that's a question for you. If you have done, let me know, am I missing out? Because I always say when I'm going through these sort of tour videos and I pick up a Call of Duty, it's probably worth trying to play a Call of Duty game on the Wii because of the control system, and it's something that often puts me off wanting to play Wii games in general. I can get past the shoddy graphics and that of the gameplay aspect of the Wii, because they all try and take sort of advantage of the controller being such a unique controller, right? But in some cases, Resi 4 for example, game I have played, it uses the controller well, and I think it's a different experience playing Resi 4 on the Wii as it is to playing it on a PlayStation, for example. It's a completely different experience, and it's like that with Call of Duty. So I would imagine maybe a Brothers in Arms game could be a lot of fun. Now that being said, an Australian copy of WarioWare Smooth Moves, I actually looked this up to see if it was worth money, because of course our copies of this are all yellow, whereas this one is pink. I don't think there is a PAL pink version. Looked it up, same price. Down at the PlayStation 4 section, I will have a look at the Switch, the 360, the PS5, and of course the Xbox One and Series X games in just a second. That is mind-blowing price. Cuphead, right? 25 quid on the PS4, and yet on the Xbox, well, we'll have a look to see how much there is on the Xbox when I get round there. I think there's a price discrepancy there on Days Gone. I think there was one for 12 and one for 15, and it's the same game. My CEX has an awful lot of this going on at the moment. The sort of I don't know whether it's probably is a staff issue. Maybe it's a staffing issue, whether they don't have enough staff or what. But there's an awful lot of games that just haven't changed in price, despite the fact that I know they're cheaper or more expensive. And there's an awful lot of the same game that have different prices. I think you can see it better there. There we go. So 15 quid on the left-hand side there for Days Gone, and the one to the left of it is 12. It's the same game, just hasn't been changed. But if it was just the odd one, I probably wouldn't have even mentioned it. But there are an awful lot of them in my CEX like that, and they're just games that are getting missed and such. It doesn't really bother me necessarily, but the other day I was buying a game or two, and he said, oh, the bill comes to XX amount. It was like 40 something quid. And I was like, hang on a minute, it shouldn't come to anywhere near that. And I had to query it, and he was like, oh yeah, you are right, these games are actually less expensive than they should be, blah blah blah. And of course then you have to change it and things. So yeah, anyway, I digress. Let's talk about PlayStation for a little bit then. In a recent video that I made, I said that I was going to not stop collecting for it necessarily, but I did say, and I outlaid plans, that I was going to trade in almost my entire collection of PlayStation 4 and 5 games that weren't sort of console specific and exclusives, much like these two games right here. I own one of these, The Last Guardian I own, but I don't own The Last of Us Remastered. I don't own a version of The Last of Us, despite the fact that I actually really enjoyed the game when I played through it, but haven't played through it since the PS3 days, so I need to get back on that. But my sort of plan and focus going forward is actually to collect for the Xbox 360 and the Series X and such. It's just because I enjoy playing games on that system more than I do the PlayStation, and I outlined sort of why that was in the video, and people came back with retorts and stuff, and I will sort of talk about that in a series video as opposed to a sort of CEX tour video. I think it's sort of better put there than it is here. But when I'm looking through here, of course I am doing it purely for tour purposes. I wouldn't normally be looking through the PlayStation section, given that I've just started sort of collecting for the Xbox. But I thought it'd be interesting to go through and see some of the price differences between this and that of the Xbox, because I understand why people collect for different consoles. I understand why you'd be playing a PlayStation and why you'd be interested in it more than you would an Xbox. I get it, each to their own. That's why I want to start playing and collecting for the Xbox. But this, for example, is £15 more expensive, Sekiro, on the PlayStation than it is on the Xbox, and it's the exact same game. And it's just mad to me that the prices are that much different. Like, if it was £1 or £2 here or there, fine, makes sense, and it's much of nothing really. But when it's 15 quid, and that's not an uncommon occurrence either. That happens a lot. There are so many games on the PlayStation that are just so much more expensive than that on the Xbox. It blows my mind. Now, as we continue, we are approaching the end of the PlayStation 4 section, and I will make my way round to that of the PS5 section, where there are a couple of games that really do, I don't know, they make you wonder really, and we'll get there in just a second. A couple of other exclusives there that I wouldn't mind picking up. Until Dawn is one that I really wanted to play until it came out, and then I just didn't play it, and I do that a lot. Now, we're flicking through the PlayStation 5 section. If memory serves correctly, there was a guy, he walked in, and I'm sort of wedged up against the side of the PS5 section here, so I'm trying to give him room to walk past, but he wanted to look at something that was directly next to me, sort of behind me, the 4K section. He would not give me any room, so I had to sort of try and maneuver around him, and then I thought, oh, he'll move down. He didn't, so it was a bit of a squeeze. You don't need to know that, but still. Mortal Kombat 1, That's £28 on the PS5. It's 20 on the Series X. So again, an £8 discrepancy. If you've ever played Mortal Kombat 1, by the way, let me know what it's like. I've played X, the XL version, and I played 11, and I love both of them. And at the end of the day, they're Mortal Kombat, right? But let me know if you've played Mortal Kombat 1 and whether it's worth picking up. This is my first ever PSVR 2 game. I've never seen one before. I think it's called, is it Township? I've never used a VR system, whether it be I'm trying to name them off the top of my head now, and I actually can't, but I've never used a VR system. I've always wanted to, and I've been interested to see what it's actually like, but I've never used it. And then I saw this just off to the right, if I ever get round to picking it up. No, it's not Ronin, which is a game I'd actually like to pick up for the PS5, but as I've just gone for Xbox, I think I'll give that a miss for the time being till it comes down. VR Skater. I looked at this and I thought, wow, another PSVR 2, and then I looked at the back of it and I thought, I think that would make me feel sick. And of course, it's a bit of a danger, because I would guarantee you I would jump trying to do some sort of trick, even though you probably don't even need to, because how would it know you jump? Anyway, I would break something. I guarantee you I'd smash things up. So that's the PlayStation 5 section. Not that many games, considering we are 4 years into that life cycle. I've made a video about it recently. Absolutely crazy. We just don't have any games for these new systems. This is probably my most favourite system of all time. If you're new around here, I love the Xbox 360, and I've not just jumped on the bandwagon because the store's closed down. I've been collecting for this for a good couple of years, 3 years maybe. But when it first came out, I was addicted to it. I loved achievements. I bought any and every game. I've played probably 80% of the library on this system. I'm looking at this now, and I actually can't believe I left that there. I bought a lot when I was there, and I traded a lot, and I did a lot of stuff. I was just going through, and I was doing my filming first. It's how I do it. I film everything as I go through, and then I go back around again. So I spend ages in this CEX store, probably get on the staff nerves. But I go around again, and I pick up the things that I want to buy. And spoiler alert for a series video, I was going to buy that Hitman collection, and I forgot it existed. It was just out of the eye line, I think. But yeah, I'm actually annoyed at myself that I'm going to have to go all the way back there just to buy that if I decide to. Madagascar carts for 15 quid seems a little bit on the pricey side to me. Absolutely ransacked section of the Xbox 360 again. Risen, which is the second one, I think this is the special edition version, 8 quid. Never played a Risen game, as he says he's played 80% of the library on the Xbox 360. I make up figures, I don't know if it's 80%, it could be 67%, I really have no idea. But I've played a lot of games on the Xbox 360, and that's probably why it's one of, if not my most favourite console to play and indeed collect for. But yeah, really annoyed about that Hitman. But as we move on to the final section before we spin round to Xbox, and of course I will have a look at the Switch as well, I spotted a couple of games that I was half tempted by. I've not played Sonic Generations on... I've played it somewhere. I swear I've played it somewhere. Maybe I played it on the PS3 once upon a time. But I haven't played it on the Xbox. I own this already. I was just trying to decide whether I did own it or not. I have a couple of Turtles games. There's one I don't own on the 360, and I was trying to work out whether it was that one. This is a bit of a banging game for an unbelievable price. £2.50 for that is outrageously good. There is a lenticular cover version, which I would prefer to pick up. But that's that for the Xbox 360. Oh, I did look at this actually. Street Fighter Ultra, this, that and the other. No manual though, unfortunately. For 18 quid I probably would have bought it, but it didn't have a manual, and I feel like I need a manual for 18. As we move over to the Xbox, this is my new favourite place to be. I feel at home here. I love the prices compared to that of the PlayStation, and I know people are going to have their reasons for not wanting to play this over the PlayStation, and you know, you can collect each to their own and all the rest of it, and some of you are probably only retro and Switch players anyway and don't understand why people play these systems full stop. But the value that you can get out of this system right now is absolutely crazy, and I did make a video about this very recently. It might have even come out yesterday. The 8th generation, which is the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. And of course, when I do talk about the Xbox One, the value on the PlayStation 4 is still there as well. But I mean, look at these games I'm picking up, and look how much they cost. £5 for We Happy Few. Again, another game that I was really excited for when I saw it at E3, and I just never played it. And there it is, £20 for Mortal Kombat 1, £8 more expensive on the PS5. There's Mortal Kombat 11 for just £6. I've got no idea how much that is on the PS5 and PS4, although I did maybe just trade trade it in. I still can't remember, but I really enjoyed it when I played it. But £6 for that game, hours of entertainment, graphics are insane, the story is really good. I just really enjoyed it in general. Ride 5, really, really good looking game in terms of realism. Don't know about the price point on that one, but realism wise, if you're after something that looks real, if you squint as well, you'd honestly swear you were watching a Channel 5 documentary about motorbikes or something. But again, Flashback Classics there for £4 if you're of age or you'd like to experience what I would say what I played as a kid, but maybe a little bit too old even for me. As we moved down, I was looking for a Call of Duty actually, and that's the one I was looking for. Not because I wanted to play it, but I'd sold one, and the one that I'd sold was actually damaged, so I had to buy another one. Cuphead there for 12. You saw that for 25 on the PlayStation 4. That is more than double, or less than half, if you will, the price of that game. It is damaged, unfortunately. It's why I kind of don't want to buy it. Not that it really makes a difference. I mean, the game is still going to play, but in terms of if you're going to collect things, I'd like to collect them in good condition, and unfortunately, Cuphead is not in good condition. This is a bit of a banger as well, Dying Light 2. It amazes me somewhat that it's still £18 though. It came out a long time ago, and you'd think by now that it would come down in price, but just a testament to how good that game actually is. As we move down here, they've moved an awful lot of the stuff sort of side-facing, if you will, and it's because they've run out of room, so maybe they should try and look to go through this and sort of spread it out a little bit more, as opposed to the final bay being just completely slammed. But this is another one. I think that game is now 18. They had it there for 15, so I probably could have got a bit of a bargain. Tony Hawk's 5. I never actually played the 5th one, I don't think. Or maybe I did very briefly. I don't think I did. Transformers, I've spoken about this before, and I'm sort of mainly thinking about the 360 side of things rather than the Xbox. But I think Transformers games are just going to keep going up and up and up. They're going to do what Spider-Man has done on, well, nearly every platform, let's be honest. But 360, more specifically to me anyway. The prices on the 360 for Spider-Man games are crazy, and I think Transformers are going that way, and I've mentioned that before. Tour de France, which is a game that I've never played but really do like the look of. I'd love them to do some sort of marathon running type game to the extent that they do the Tour de France games. Tour de France looks like a really sort of not a, what's the word I'm looking for? Actually, that's 28, not 30, that's Sekiro, so that's even cheaper again than the PlayStation equivalent. But yeah, the Tour de France games look interesting. If you're into your cycling, you're into your Tour de France, it's one of those games you'd probably absolutely have to play, right? But when it comes to running, which is something that I'm really into, absolutely love it. There is no running game outside of like London 2012 or Beijing, which is only like 400 meters, and I'm not a big fan of the way that they do sort of the mechanics. Let's move on to the final section, which is the Switch section. This coming from like comparing prices for PlayStation and Xbox, coming over to this just makes you realise that if you buy and collect for the Switch, it's going to be difficult to build it up on a budget, because, I mean, look at this. Animal Crossing came out 14 years ago at this point, right? Maybe not quite, but £38 is still almost what it cost brand new. And again, Detective Pikachu Returns, I'd never even seen that game. I've been out of the Switch bubble, if you will, for such a long time. I don't know what's come out and what hasn't. I don't know how long some games have been in existence. That Pikachu game I'd never seen before. So as we progress down, you'll see an awful lot of the prices have stayed the same, and they just hold value so well. There are the odd game, of course, that will come down in price, but like Paper Mario up there, still £40. Those Pokemon games still 38, I think they are. For Scarlet, I think was it Violet that came out at the same time as well. But even the older Pokemon games, they still hold their value so well. I sold off an awful lot of my Switch collection quite a while ago now, probably about a year ago or so. I don't regret doing it because I needed the money to fund a trip to Florida, which was absolutely incredible. Loved every single second of it, and I'm glad I did what I did. But I will have to try and get back into building my Switch collection again quite soon, not very soon, after I sort of get my Xbox fill, if you will. I start building that up a little bit. But a couple more games there. Never heard of this one even. £12, which is one of the cheaper Switch games you'll see. And then, of course, they've sort of stuck DS here, which is really weird because they actually stuck DS up by PS5 as well. There's 2 DS sections, which doesn't make an awful lot of sense. You might say, well, this is just the 3DS section. No, the 3DS section also exists with the DS section is up by the... It's very confusing. I don't think they know what they want to do with DS. Let me know what your local CEX is and what it's like. Is it worth a visit if I'm ever in the area, for example? I will have a series video for you guys very soon, so look out for that. If you want to check out the last one I did, you can click here. And until the next time, goodbye.